All right, greetings, class, and welcome to week number 9. That is right, week number 9 of your 7314 class. No, not 7314, I'm sorry, of your 9410 class, which is your seminar on cultural heritage course. As always, I am your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and this one, I promise, again, will be shorter and lighter on the probably around the 10-minute mark, just like the previous two were, because there's really not a lot to say this week. The As far as state of the course update, people are still doing very, very good in the class. I don't know what to say from there. You're doing very good in the class. So keep up the good work. If you have not turned in your For Heritages paper, then go ahead and get that turned in, but know that there will be a late penalty. But still go ahead and get those turned in. A late penalty is better than no credit at all. So I look forward to receiving those. And aside from that, you do have a the midterm quiz is due on March the 20th. So this coming weekend, but I assure you that midterm quiz is very, very, very easy. So just go ahead and get that done and recorded and and you shouldn't have any problems with that. And from there, you can pretty much just coast a little bit in the course until it is time to put together your final paper. Or if you're working on a final project instead of a final paper, then keep on doing what you do there. So aside from that, there is really not much to talk about. This week's subject matter is cemeteries. And the cemetery aspect of cultural heritage is actually one of it may be the hardest area to actually tie back into librarianship, or at least traditional librarianship. I'm sure some of you saw that we had a cemetery module, and we're probably just like, well, what do cemeteries have in common with libraries? No, I will say that cemeteries actually do have a lot of relevance specifically to archives, okay? So if you go the archives route, then knowledge of cemeteries, knowledge of cemetery records, and that sort of thing, that can be very useful for that. But cemeteries are also, when you are dealing with local archives and things like that, cemeteries are very, very relevant to some of the archival and historical research that people will do on local history and on local genealogy as well. So there are a lot of libraries, a lot of public libraries these days that do genealogy workshops and also that assist their patrons with genealogy. And so one of the things that you will probably want to be aware of are different cemetery resources like Find a Grave or the Ancestry Libraries Edition and things of that nature. Those things can be very, very helpful for those, particularly who are doing genealogy research. But then also, yes, cemeteries can often have a lot of local research relevance, especially if people are trying to do research on, like, let's say you're President Harry Truman, for example, grew up in Independence, Missouri, which is a suburb of Kansas City. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Kansas City area and may not be from Missouri, because we've got students from all over. So Harry Truman, if you had somebody that was trying to actually do archival research, primary source research, that sort of thing on Harry Truman, yes, knowing about where Harry Truman is buried and the processes to which it was decided that he would be interred wherever he is, those are things that can be relevant to people who are doing local history research, who are trying to do research on interesting or notable figures. And it is, yes, there is that, believe it or not, that kind of specious, but it's there, that link between cemetery research and cemetery work and archival work and that sort of thing. So just be aware of that. But then also, yes, be aware that one of my favorite movie lines ever, even though I can't remember what movie it's from, is the statement, "The entire world is a graveyard," and that's true. And we have people buried all across the world, but things have been developed over where these people are buried. Records for these burial grounds, if they were ever even in existence, have been lost and that sort of thing. And so that is an aspect of lost or forgotten heritage right there. And we'll talk a little bit more about lost and forgotten heritage in the last week of the course. So I did want to just say these things just so I could draw a very, very quick link between why would you be learning about cemeteries at all in a library science course. But then also keep in mind this is library and information science, and so we are dealing with archival research, and we are dealing with yeah, we're dealing with archival research, and then we're also just dealing with information, including preservation of information and the potential for information to be lost if not properly cared for. So that is actually going to do it for me. I see that I've actually kept it under 7 minutes. Let's not tempt fate and go any further than this. I am Dr. Jace, and watch this ALA race. Regardless of who wins, it is a good learning experience to see what happens in these races, because the races are just crazy every single year. Okay, so this is a good chance to now that the voting started today, March the 14th, and now that voting is underway, that is a very good chance for you to kind of learn a little bit more about ALA processes, about what people do during ALA elections, and that sort of thing. So it is pretty cool to keep an eye out on that. All right, I am going to leave it there. You have a good week, and I will see you next week for one of my favorite modules, which is the module related to destruction of cultural heritage by invading armies, terrorist groups, and that sort of thing. Have a wonderful week.